Well played, Mark Boucher.
Catch, yes. Up goes the finger. Mark Boucher, happy man. He bagged his 9th dismissal of the Test match.
Boucher now gets his 500th dismissal. No wicketkeeper has got that many in the history of Test cricket.
That's a great victory to South Africa.
Mark Boucher really turned the tables when he came on to bat after Sean Pollock was out.
Straight down the ground. What a victory. Well, I've been around the world watching this game. Look, their tears. They are crying out there.
Mark, welcome back to East London, to your old school, Selborne Primary School. You're regarded here as a sporting phenomenon. Whilst you're at school, you played for border schools, rugby, cricket, swimming, cross-country, squash.
Yeah, I think you can throw in tennis there as well.
You're throwing tennis, my apologies. But in the midst of this, I've also been told that you were small, you were short. Some people even said that you were tiny.
Yeah, I was very, very small, very skinny, filled out a bit nowadays.
Mark, let's talk about your squash. At 7, you played for border primary schools. 12, I'm told you used to take on the school teachers and beat them at squash. At 9, I spoke to your father. There was a very important match. You played him. It was a close match. He beat you. Can you recall what happened thereafter?
I think I might have broken my racket against the wall or something like that.
And you arrived back home. There might have been a few bruises on your bottom. And he tells me that you learned for the first time the necessity of being a good sportsman.
I did have a little bit of a temper when I was a laddie, especially on the squash court. And I guess it was his way of teaching me not to throw my racket, and the sportsmanship, character he wanted to come through in me. So, yeah, it did help.
You ascribed your attribute of being a wonderful fighter in sport, in cricket. It came out of playing competitive squash.
There was a lot of individual dedication that had to go on, and I think that probably helped me in my sport. I do a lot of training by myself, and it must come from those squash days.
Your coach, who's now the present headmaster, Mr. Doug Vogt, he said you could have gone as far as you wanted to in rugby.
It was my size. My dad was probably a little bit, speaking to my mother, was probably a little bit fearful of me getting injured and probably hurting myself for my squash career. I think I played till under 15 side, where I got injured with my knee, and from that day on he basically said to me, no more rugby.
And that was it?
And that was it, unfortunately, because it's quite a sad thing when I probably did enjoy rugby more than any other sport, but my size didn't help me at all, and I wasn't growing fast at that stage.
Richard Pybus comes now to Selborne College. He's your cricket coach. And he tells me that you didn't keep wicket, you were a reasonable batsman, but you bowled off spin. And he tells me that he threw ball after ball to all of you. And he says your eye-hand coordination was phenomenal. He said you were streets ahead of anybody. And he tells me that's when you became the wicketkeeper.
Yeah, I remember that, actually, when we were in the hall there. And I remember trying to fight him as well because I wanted to bowl more. But he said that your future is now as a keeper. And I still do rate myself as a keeper. I still do.
I'll give Graham Smith a ring tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if you look at the Test career stats. My name's still at the top. I've got one Test wicket. Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult change for me, but once you do it once, once you do it twice, you start making 1 or 2 good catches or stumpings, you actually start enjoying it, and I never looked back from then.
Are you disappointed that you were never given the opportunity one day, notwithstanding that you're a wicketkeeper, of captaining maybe your provincial team and maybe even your country?
Yeah, look, I think provincial team, it would be nice to captain a provincial team. I have done it on 1 or 2 occasions and really enjoyed the challenge. On the odd occasion I have captained South Africa, but I've enjoyed it. It's been a good challenge. But yeah, I'll leave that for the guys who want to do it as a full-time job.
Mark, I've always been of the viewpoint that both you and Sean Pollock batted too low down in our Test team.
the coaches came in and said that I was going to be a finisher and bat 6 or 7, and that for me was okay. You know, you take nothing for granted playing for your country. But yeah, to answer your question, I would have liked the opportunity on that occasion to be pushed up to 4 or 5.
Mark, in a test career over 15 years, which was the best knock you ever played?
The one that's a standout for me was the test match in Mumbai, where it pretty much kick-started everything for me. I remember Anil Kumble bowling into the rough in Mumbai. When it's turning like that, it can be very difficult to score. And we were just going nowhere. Jacques had pretty much, taken care of the one side. And I went in and I just decided to play my natural game. I remember myself and Jacques having a go at Murali Kartik, talking to him a bit, to try to put him under pressure, because we were under so much pressure at that particular time. And yeah, I played my first sweep shot, which is something that I actually said I mustn't do because of the rough. And it came off.
He's played that sweep shot extremely well, Bacher. I think it's time to change this tactic to Bacher.
Oh, from there, it was just one big adrenaline rush. Just carried on, and we managed to win the game.
Some wonderful cricket's played here. They've won a test match against some very good spin bowling, and really, when you think about that, it's a feather in the cap for them. They've struggled against spinners in the years gone. This will do this side no end of good, who made a wonderful contribution. Bacher 27 of 32 balls, 6 fours in that innings.
Mark, what about your 100, 2000, the 4th test match against England at Kingsmead?
Yeah, it was quite an emotional one as well for me.
Why?
Once again, being a night watchman, we were really staring down a barrel, and I knew Gary was at the other end, basically betting for his career.
There it is. He just guides it down to third man, Gary Kirsten. A monumental effort. Gary Kirsten's second double 100. Now Bacher has got strike. Can he get his 100? Can there be more excitement? There is. He plays almost the identical shot to Gary Kirsten. Only thing is he gets 4 and not 1. But Mark Boucher has gone to a magnificent century.
That is nice for me to actually spend that time at the crease with him. I could see the fight in his eyes. You speak to him now, he'd probably tell you that if he didn't score runs that game, he probably would have been left out or would have retired. So yeah, to be a part of that was awesome. We managed to save the game and then go on to Cape Town.
Well, Mark, that's a good side of you. Let's talk about the other side at school. I'm told that you're rather cocky, but not arrogant. Very naughty, but not destructive. But you always had confidence in your own ability. Would that be the young Mark Boucher?
I think to be a sportsman, you've got to have a little bit of cockiness about you to get to the top. It's more self-belief that I think, if you can't believe in yourself, then who else is going to believe in you?
It's legendary the way you enjoyed yourself in your first year at that university. But down the road, that year, something happened. You kind of woke up. You went back to East London. What brought you to your senses?
Yeah, I enjoyed myself a little bit too much, and it got to a situation where I went to England for a tour. I think it was on a 19 tour, and came back and decided, what am I actually doing here? I'm having too much of a party, and it's time to actually start working on my game. And that's when I decided that varsity wasn't for me. I'm not going to get any degrees here. I'd rather go back and try work on making a future with the game of cricket.
Only 2 wicket-keepers have played in more than 100 tests. Ian Healy, 119, yourself, 147. You have in your second test match a world record batting, I think number 10, the 9th with partnership with Pat Simcox, 195. That record still stands.
And that's his 50. Well played, young man. This is beautifully played. It's 4 runs. Let's watch Simcox. Does he get his 100? They're looking for it, and he's going to get it. He's got it, and he leaps in the air, and now he holds his bat aloft, first to his teammates in the dressing room and to the whole of the Wanderers Stadium, and they've come to their feet. And Simcox now gets 4 runs through the covers. And I think those 4 runs take us to a new world record for the 9th wicket partnership.
In fact, your dad tells me that recently he saw Graham Smith, and Graham said of all the players he'd played against or for, you're the #1 competitor. Does this describe the Mark Boucher?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for those words, but that's the way I'd want to be remembered. You know, stats obviously at the end of your career, they all add up, and it tells of how good a player was. But for me, you know, probably the best award that I've ever been given is the Players Player of the Year.
The SA Players Player of the Year is Mark Boucher.
That's an award that I would take over any, that, you know, if I'd been given an award. For me, the way that I want to be remembered is a person who wasn't really worried about the stats, but more came to the fore when their team and the boys needed him most.
Mark, let's go back to 1999, that semi-final in Birmingham. I was there.
That to me has got to be up there with the lowest moment of my career.
3 balls remaining. Kuzner on strike. There it is. They go for this. Will be out, surely. Oh, it's out. It's going to be run out. Oh, that's it. South Africa out. Donald didn't run. I cannot believe it. Australia go into the World Cup final.
You know, just being a part of that whole dressing room, walking in there and actually seeing grown men crying. I remember you walking in, and just you being there. I mean, you didn't have to say much. I can't remember exactly what you said to us. But yeah, as soon as you left the change room again, it was back to the same situation. We went back to the hotel. A couple of us met in a room, had a beer together to try and just talk about the whole thing. But you never quite get over a moment like that, where it's so close to actually having your hands on the cup, because I think everyone pretty much knew that whoever won that match was going to win the World Cup.
But let's talk about it, because after that match, rightfully or wrongfully, for a long period, you were known as the team that choked.
I think the chokers label came from that particular moment. And the Aussies, they played on it big time, like only the Aussies can do.
Let's go now to a better moment. 2006 March, the Wanda Stadium, probably the best one-day match of all time. The Aussies get 434.
Well, it's a full toss. It's going over the top. Will it go the whole way? Yes, it is, all the way. Well, he's now reached his 150. Oh, that's it. Take that. Another no ball. And the highest team total in one-day international cricket. It's the first time any side has got to 400. Last ball of the innings. Brett Lee has smashed it away down towards square leg. Kemp hovers down there. A wonderful batting performance by the Australians. Of that, there is no doubt a world record batting performance. And from a South African bowling point of view, they'll be very, very pleased it's over.
And I know for a fact at lunchtime at the stadium, many families, they said, look, we've lost, we're gone. We're going home. Not another defeat by the Australians.
I still remember while they were busy batting that myself and Herschel looked at each other, and I think there were like 5 or 6 overs to go, and Herschel said, geez, they're going to get 400 here. And I said, listen, they're going to get more than 400, but the way that they were hitting the ball. To be honest with you, walking off the field, the guys were shell-shocked, but the pressure wasn't really on. For us, like you say, people had written us off already.
Yeah.
So going out there, I mean, Jacques cracked a joke or two saying, listen, you know, the bowlers have done their job. Now, there were a couple of remarks that were made.
Bowlers have done their job.
The bowlers had done their job, yeah. I mean, restricting them to 434. But we spoke to Mickey Arthur and we just said, listen, let's forget about the final total. Let's just try and basically stack up, you know, how far we want to be after 10, 15, 20 overs. So we continued to do that and just set ourselves a little bit of a goal. And
there was a plan.
There was a plan, yes. And I think after 30 overs, we wanted to be around about 200, because that's basically where you want to be. You want to have around about half the score after 30 overs. And we knew that you could finish off pretty well at the Wanderers Stadium, because it's easy to hit the ball at the ground there. So we were way ahead where we actually wanted to be.
Right.
Graham and Herschel were smashing it to all parts. Until we got to a situation where there were about 15 overs left, And I went over to Mickey Arthur and I said to him, Coach, we've actually been in this situation quite a few times and we've actually won it from here. So let's not, get overawed by the final score. And then I went into bat, and I believe the change room was pretty nervous, obviously. And the guys that came in and sort of batted around me were unbelievable. Roger Telemarcus.
Sweep shot, four, great shot, wonderful shot. He's hit it like a rocket. What a shot. Boy, is he strong.
Jan van der Walt, they all came in and played their parts.
Straight down the ground, that's going for 6, that's gone, yes, that's gone for 6. That relieves the pressure a little bit and doubles the pressure on the bowler.
The plan was always for me to bat right through towards the end, and that's ultimately what happened.
Bacher is playing an unbelievable knock. He's done this so often.
I'll never forget Mackay walking to the crease, and Mackay actually turned white. We needed 1 run to tie.
Oh, he's got a single. He's got it to third man. Right, now then. They need 1 of 2 balls. South Africa cannot lose.
Mackay managed to run a ball, in-swinging Yorker, reverse swing Yorker, that is probably going to hit leg stump down to third man. How he got the ball there, I still to this day don't know. And he ran past and started shouting and screaming like we actually won the game. And to be honest with you, that's the most nervous I've ever been, was when he actually ran past, because while he's busy running, I mean, it happens so quickly, but there are a lot of thoughts that go through your mind. And the one was, I was the only one who could actually cock this whole day up. That is the pressure that I sort of felt. And then, as Brett Lee's running into bowl, I just said, we've played this game aggressively. They brought the field up, and I wasn't going to try and mess around. I just said, if it's up, I'm going.
Straight down the ground, what a victory. That is a sensational game of cricket, and it is a superb victory. Well, I've been around the world watching this game. Look, their tears, they are crying out there. The South Africans are charging onto the ground. Mtini's on a high. Ponting cannot believe this has happened to his team.
Mackay, can you remember the first time you met Mark Boucher?
Doc, yes, I think I can still remember those days.
Tell me about it.
Doc, I remember we were in Queenstown. The first time that I was getting involved with the whole development of Baker's mini cricket. We all get together, we come to border cricket, we start training.
Right.
And then we get to know each other even more. Most of the time, he was one of my, bunnies. He was always...
Bunnies, you got him out.
I get him out most of the time. The guy from the rural area is just running in and bowl and try to bowl bouncers to all of them. That's how I get recognized as well,
How important was he as a person, advisor, friend, comrade, mentor to your success?
Doc, even more beyond that. I remember we were in England.
Right.
Him and Noel Mackenzie and Walter Masamula.
Right.
They were very close. And then I walked past them after we came back from training. And then Boucher and Noel Mackenzie, they called me up in his room and says, Mackie, you need to go to the shop. And then I asked him, for what? I say, boss, you're not smelling very well. And then I asked him, what is that? Why do you mean I'm not smelling very well? I said, you need to go and buy yourself a deodorant. Yes, I went to town, I came back, and then I bought myself, a deodorant, and I went straight to their room, and I say, is this the one that you were talking about? Because we never used to have those kind of things in our rural areas. From there, we became so much as friends, because from that guidance, for me, that showed me that these guys are not only being us here as black cricketers, they're looking to guide us and show us the way.
And they cared for you.
And then they were really careful for me, especially Doc.
He took 75 catches off your bowling in a one-day international match with South Africa, and that today remains a world record. You didn't know
You're
that?
joking. No, not at all. It's wow. Those are good news.
You and Mark Boucher have brought enormous credit to border cricket and to South African cricket and to our country. Well done.
Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you.
Mark, 2008, in my opinion, has got to be the greatest year in the history of South African cricket. But you beat England and Australia.
South Africa win the match. South Africa win the series.
He's worked that away. This will be it. There's the first one, back for the second, and that is the first time that South Africa have won a test series in Australia. An absolutely superb performance.
Did it just come like that? Was there planning? Did you have confidence in your ability? I mean, that was an extraordinary achievement by our cricket team.
The team sort of spirit that we had going to both of those tours was the best I've ever been involved in. And that is all credit to the management and the people who actually got that environment for us. And then, yeah, I mean, there were a couple of great individual performances, which you probably need if you're going to win test series in those places.
Mark, Vernon Philander. Now, I've been watching him on television for 3-4 years. He seemed okay, nothing great. You play Australia in Cape Town, he's picked in the 12. I don't think he's going to be selected. He gets chosen. I mean, he's a phenomenon.
Bowled him. Perfect delivery. The perfect delivery, it had to be.
He's one of those guys who really does believe in himself. Incredibly skillful with the ball. Great to keep to because, you know, if I'm jumping around going left and right, you can imagine what the batters are doing. You know, there's been a lot of people who have probably questioned him, you know, playing on green wickets that are doing quite a bit in South Africa, which he did play on in the beginning. So there were a lot of questions that were going to be raised when he went to New Zealand on flatter wickets, and the wickets there were flat. And he came out with flying colours. He outbowled everyone. I think it is a bit of a team effort as well, having the likes of Dale Steyn, Morné Morkel, you know, Imran Tahir, even Mashant Delanga and Jacques bowling at the other end. It does help him. But you know, take nothing away from Vern. He's incredibly skillful.
Can he sustain
I
it?
definitely think he can sustain. I think there's a big series coming up for him in England, which conditions should actually suit him. But yeah, I mean, there's no pressure on him really. I wouldn't want to put pressure on him to say, okay, fine, this is what you got to sort of maintain, because for him to maintain that would be an awesome feat. But yeah, just to be a part of a very good bowling attack and do his job that's required of him at the particular time, I think he can do.
Mark, when I started off playing provincial cricket, the norm was for the wicket-keeper, when there were medium-pace bowlers, slow medium-pace bowlers like Trevor Goddard, the wicket-keeper stood up to the wickets. Something like the late Johnny Waite, who was a brilliant keeper. You short, he was about 6'2", but medium paces, he stood up to the wicket. Today it's a rarity. Any reason for it?
I think the bowlers have got to be comfortable with it as well. There are times where I've wanted to, on very slow wickets, want to stand up to Jacques. And he said, if you stand up, I'll actually bowl a bouncer every single ball to try and get you back. So I think the bowlers have to be comfortable with it. It definitely is a skill that you've got to work at, standing up to the wicket. Keepers are not as good as what keepers used to be because of the batting side, the batting aspect coming in. A lot of keepers now, especially with the 2020 vibe, they get picked purely on batting, and then the keeping sort of skill relaxes a bit, which is not great. But I think in the future, maybe they'll do a full circle. Maybe they'll go back to keepers who can actually change a match.
Mark, Ian Healy was a great keeper. At the end of his career, he wanted to stay on a couple more years. Selectors said, listen, Ian, we don't want to drop you. Adam Gilchrist is coming through, and Ian Healy retired. You may not know it, but speaking to Peter Pollock, Dave Richardson during the 97-98 tour of Australia, in a nice way, and Dave accepted. They said to Dave, Mark's coming through, and Dave Richardson retired.
And the ball going through there to Mark Boucher, playing his first test for South Africa behind the stumps. It's the first test in 39 test matches that South Africa have had a new wicketkeeper. Mark Boucher flew out just the other day, plays for Bacher in South Africa.
You're going to England, it's your last series. Is this your decision, or is Andrew speaking to you and you've come to a common agreement?
No, Andrew hasn't spoken to me at all. Yes, I have spoken to Gary Kirsten about it, and he, along obviously with the selectors, have sort of put forward an exit plan for me, which I think is important for guys who are getting on in their careers. So yeah, everyone knows I haven't been secretive about the whole thing, that I want to end after England. So yeah, had a long career, and it's time for me to move on to different pastures now and maybe get some money on the golf course.
And Mark, do you think you can handle it after 15 years of being an international star? And I say this because so many cricketers that I played with, when they retire, it's a different lifestyle. You know more the focus, you're on the back pages.
I will miss the game. I've spoken to a guy like John T and asked him what the hardships are about leaving the game, and he said, you'll never ever feel that adrenaline rush and that high than when you're actually hitting winning runs for your country or whatever. And I've had it a few times, and I know the feeling, and I'm happy to part with that feeling.
Mark, your association with this NGO, Living Waters, which I think is fantastic, helping the less fortunate, the disadvantaged. Tell me how it started.
Yeah, 12 years ago, my sister, she taught at a school which is primarily for underprivileged kids, and she arrived home in tears the one day. And I went over to, obviously as a brother would do, and I said to her, listen, what's the problem? She said she had a really bad day at school. She walked into a bathroom where a young little girl had been physically abused by her father. At that stage, I wasn't quite set on the charity that I sort of wanted to start up or support. The following day, she came back to the house, and she said to me, listen, I've got this Living Waters Foundation that we want to maybe look at, and there you can put some finance into the whole thing and look after a couple of underprivileged kids, and that's basically how it started. For me, I mean, you know, there are a lot of things that you can do as a sportsman, and to see the faces of the young kids that you might have touched, you know, even if it's just for 5 or 10 seconds, you know, and to see the smile on the face when you turn around and leave is something that's obviously very nice for a sportsman. And if you can do that, then I'd encourage every sportsman to have something that's not flashy or anything like that, but something very personal that can give you a lot of smiles as well.
And Mark, your concern about the possible extinction of the rhino in this country?
Yeah, look, myself and a couple of other cricketers, the Morkel brothers and Jacques Rudolph, we went on a trip to Skukuza, and we hit up with the anti-rhino poaching unit, the main guy who sort of runs the whole of Kruger National Park. And he took us around. He showed us basically what is happening on our borders in Mozambique. We met a couple of the rangers there as well, and came back, and we really wanted to create a race for rhino, basically cycling and running through the Kruger National Park. And I went to breweries, who I knew also supported the anti-rhino poaching unit, and together with them we came up with the idea that they actually wanted me to be the brand ambassador for the anti-rhino poaching unit. So, you know, it is a big passion of mine. You know, I enjoy wildlife. I enjoy getting out to places like Kruger National Park. And together with breweries now, we're going to be doing quite a lot of work. Just before we go over to England, we're going to be going to a rhino darting, which is very exciting, going via helicopter with a couple of the other cricketers. And yeah, do a bit of DNA samples and just get to be out in the bush, which is ultimately what I really enjoy.
Mark, in conclusion, I've been told by your immediate family and friends that you are an exceptionally loyal person, an exceptionally generous person. But from a cricketing point of view, there can be no question that you will go down in history as one of South Africa's greatest ever cricketers. Well done, Mark Boucher.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Mark Boucher retired from international cricket on the 10th of July 2012, the day after he suffered a serious eye injury in this incident where a bail ricocheted off the stumps during the first day of the Proteas tour opener against Somerset at Taunton. Protea skipper Graham Smith paid tribute to Bacher, who had given his all for his country during a sterling 14-year career.
Just to Bacher from the team, Bacher, we have walked a long road together and we are saddened to part under these circumstances. For the 14 years of your international career, you have been a true Proteas warrior, a patriotic South African and a fighter who asks nothing and gives everything. You've been 100%er for this team, and you've been more than a performer. You've been a motivator, an inspirer and an energizer, and a very good friend to many of us. You leave us today with sad hearts, but also with deep gratitude for your contributions to our team and to us as people. The fighting spirit you brought to this team will remain with us. We wish you as good as possible recovery from your injury as we bid you farewell as an international cricketer and wish you well for your future. We keep you as a friend and a respected Protea warrior.
In tests, Bacher holds the record for a wicketkeeper at 555 dismissals. In ODIs, no player has surpassed his 425 dismissals, and his 19 dismissals in T20 cricket brings his overall world record to 999. His retirement therefore left him tantalisingly short of the magical 1,000 mark. However, Bacher had claimed the wicket of Dwayne Bravo whilst bowling against the West Indies in a test match that was petering out to a draw in 2005. So in total, he has achieved the grand total of 1,000 international dismissals. SuperSport salutes Mark Boucher for his record-breaking performances over a wonderful career and wishes him all the best in the future.